Ladies and gentlemen.
Alright guys, we're underneath the truck here. Just figured I'd do like a little quick install video, about the tie rods, if you saw the last video. So we'll get into that. As you can see, I took the stock one off already. So that part's already done. But, this here, you just take the bolt off and the cotter pin, pop it with a hammer, that falls out. Then you're gonna have to get up in here with a tie rod removal tool or a pipe wrench or a crescent wrench or whatever you can fit around it, because you're not really worried about the old tie rods anymore. Get up in there, pop that loose, and make sure that you clean that up really good. So you don't get any sort of dirt and debris in there when you're doing it. I'll clean this up a little bit more once I'm done. But be right back. We'll throw the new tie rod in real quick a little bit so that way we can see that. Alright, I'm back. Sorry I didn't do a whole video on that because it's kind of hard to do with one hand. But so I just got a few threads in there. Just so I can show you guys some things. So what I'm gonna do in this case, just because I'm not taking the tire off of this truck, and it honestly helps me kind of get it close, is I'm gonna fully collapse the tie rod. Keep my the nuts loose, the stopper nuts loose and all that, but I'm gonna fully collapse it so that way I have a little bit of space. It's going to be a little tight, especially if you have oversized tires, but you'll be able to get it in there. Another thing to note with this is this is 2 inches. So not a lot of people have a 2-inch wrench or adjustable wrench or something like that just laying around. So Kryptonite actually sells a adapter or an install tool for this end, just because of the size. Your tie rod removal or install tool, a lot of them will not go up to 2 inches. So like if you were to take the tire off and slide the sheath over here to get it, it's not gonna, a lot of the ones that you can buy aren't gonna work with this. So granted, what you can do is, not saying it's the proper way to do it, but you can take like a pipe wrench or a large adjustable or a pair of channel locks and tighten this down. However, what you're going to note in the install instructions is this is supposed to be torqued down to 100 foot-pounds. So that's kind of hard to do with an adjustable wrench or a crescent or something like that. Speaking of install instructions, if you're less savvy with it and you're less mechanically inclined, they've got the install instructions and it shows you step-by-step process of how to do this. I've already got my measurements and all that for off of the old one. I normally measure from the inside of the inner tie rod to this little detent right here on the outer tie rod, because that is in line with the shank, or what the shank's supposed to be. So I've already got my measurements there, so I can kind of tailor it with the tape measure. Now, I don't have an alignment machine, so this customer is going to have to go get a front end alignment done on this vehicle after he's doing it, but he's still going to have to go down the road. So thankfully this is going to leave here, and it is going to go straight to the alignment shop to get properly aligned. You know, you can get it close with a tape measure, but you know, spend the $120, $150 to get your front end aligned properly, so that way you don't have premature tire wear, and you know, you're not spending an extra $400 or $800 replacing tires. So I'm gonna tighten this down here and plop that in real quick, and I'll be right back. All right, so I've got the inner tie rod installed on the center link there. Yeah, it's gonna, you know, kind of wear the finish off of it, but I mean, it's not gonna be too bad. So I've got this in, the outer tie rod and the steering knuckle, and this is something a little bit different than done in the past, to note. So they actually have this nut here, which is a self-locking nut, and they do not have a hole in here for a cotter pin. Now, if you do the proper torque spec of 43 pound-feet, then you're not going to ever have a problem with this backing off. They even put a nice little channel in here on the shank, so you can put a wrench on it, because I know sometimes when you're tightening these things down, they'll spin, and you're not going to be able to get the proper torque out of them. So you know, that's a nice little feature that they've added. Kind of like that. So, and they already put the grease zerk in there for me. So that was really nice of them to do that. Now, what I'm going to do to adjust this is I'm going to loosen up both of my inner and outer stopper nuts there. And I'm going to raise the truck up even more than what it is. Now, I have a AN wrench on this. AN Army Navy fitting wrench that I use for my race car. The reason why I'm using this specifically, one, because it's, you know, a good size for it, and two, you know, the anodized aluminum, so it's not going to wear the finish off on this nice tie rod new tie rod that we're putting on here, you know, as bad. It's going to probably wear a little bit, but you know, it's not going to be anything to really notice. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to jack the truck up a little bit and adjust this as much as I possibly can. I'm going to take a tape measure and measure from the inner tie rod to this point here, kind of get it close. And then once I do the other side, I'm going to actually, you know, measure wheel to wheel and make sure that I get it as straight as possible, so that way he can go down the road, you know, as safely as possible, going to the alignment shop. So alrighty, so got everything in, got everything torqued down. So I misspoke on the torque spec on that. That's 48 pound-feet, not 43. But yeah, installation was a breeze. We got it very, very close to what it was. A little bit of measuring, a little bit of eyeballing. So, you know, looks good. The geometry on this looks a lot better than the stock tie rod. It's going to have a lot less stress on it. And yeah, so don't forget to put your grease in here, and then put some grease up in here in the, you know, the center link there, to fill that cup up. You know, the cups that they use, they are self-bleeding, so you're gonna have a little bit of grease that comes out of the side of them. There's like a little tiny little hole, pinhole in there. That is normal. First time I ever put these on, like, I thought I blew a boot out, but ended up buying like a bunch of boots. But that is completely normal. They just bleed off, so that way they don't bust. So that is another really nice feature of these, that they have, are these nice high quality boots that they put on there. So yeah, the ball joints, I already put those in right there. So I just got to torque these down and put grease in them. But other than that, you know, that was really easy to put in. You know, with this big truck or whatnot, you know, I had to kind of play around with it to try to get it in there properly. But, you know, hey, that's what we do. So thanks for tuning in again, guys, and I hope you found some of this helpful, and see you on the next one. Thanks.